The Williams FW12C was a Formula 1 car designed for the 1989 Formula 1 season, with this car being the first time Williams ran with a Renault engine, proving to be a successful partnership in the years ahead. Although it wasn't a match for the almighty McLaren MP45 with the Honda V10 with Ayrton, Senna and Alain Prost on board, it still managed to get the second place in the World Constructors Championship. Fun fact, this Williams FW12C did manage to get one pole position in Hungary, being the only non-McLaren pole position in 1989. Wow. Thierry Boutsen, being a Belgian racing driver for the team in 1989, finished 5th in the World Driver Championship, being the best result in his career in Formula 1. And today, we have that Williams FW12C in 1/18 scale. But before we begin today's video, I first want to introduce you to our sponsor, GPWorld.nl. As you may know by now, GPWorld is a store located in the Netherlands and they have one of the largest collection of GP Replicas cars from stock. Don't live in the Netherlands? Don't worry, they also ship worldwide. So, if you're interested in these vintage Formula 1 cars from the GP Replicas brand, make sure you get them at GPWorld.nl. So thank you, GPWorld, for sponsoring today's video, and let's get straight into the review of this beautiful modelcar. Welcome everybody. Today we are going to review the GP Replicas 1/18 scale Williams FW12C, and I hope you like that new intro. There's no secret that the late 80s, early 90s is my favorite Formula 1 era of all time basically. I have plenty of 1989 cars actually, the Jurian, the MP45, and I believe a Ferrari as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So yeah, enough chit chat, let's get straight into this box, shall we? I went a long time without reviewing a model car because my previous video was a collection video. So yeah, this is my first time in a couple of weeks to actually unboxing a car again, which feels good. It's very straightforward, this one actually. No waterfly decals or whatever. Kobe. You know what this thing reminds me of? The Jurian, but then with a different color scheme, because the Jurian had a very weird curvature with the engine cover as well. As with all GP Replicas cars, you also get a nice little display case, nice acrylic. I believe this is to be 3mm thick. So yeah, we're going to put that off to the side for now. This car may look familiar because previous time we also reviewed a Williams, and that was the I think it was the FW11. Anyway, but that was from the year 1986, and this car is actually from 1989, so a full 3 years later. And you can see that nice little evolution it went through. Let's do what we always do and work from the front to the back, shall we? Front wing looking really nice. We have this beautiful triangular wing end plates going on, and these look really aggressive, even more aggressive than the MP45 we reviewed the other day. Outside of the wing end plates, we have this beautiful yellow color with two sponsors as well, ICE and tactile. And if we take a good look, we see a gap between the flaps too. So yeah, this gap is actually humongous, but still it's a gap, which is a good thing. We have a couple sponsors going on there. We have Goodyear and we have Canon. And that's basically it for the front wing itself. Then we get straight to the nose, which all the way at the top we have this small little logo of Williams. Above that, race number 5, which obviously belonged to Thierry Boutsen. Above that, a logo of Barclay. And above that, we have the new partnership with Renault Elf. Suspension looking really interesting. Once again, I really like the attention of detail with this particular model, because we can also see that the rivets are actually a different color. You can basically see where the bars meet the body. You also have this little hint of gold there, which is looking really nice. So the wheels are this really high class black, which is a nice change for once. And at the sidewall of the tire, we also have a sponsor of Goodyear, Eagle. Front of the driver's cell, we have this funky looking antenna, which is a little bit flexible. Underneath there, we have a logo of Tactile, and above that, a big logo of ICE, which if I remember correctly was also on the FW11. Side of the driver's cell, we have this huge area of Barclay once again, and we also have this Bordeauxish red bar underneath, which doesn't really suit the car because you have a lot of different colors now. I mean, there's red on this car, but you have 2 tones of red now, which don't really match at all. So if we take a look from the side profile of this car, we can see how round this cockpit shape actually is. Looking really interesting. So the cockpit looking really nice. Nice little cramped seating area we have going on there. Separate seat belts too, which is always a very nice thing to see. We also have separate laser edged buckles as well. Steering wheel looking really nice. If we take a really close look there at the side, we also see a nice little gear shifter too. So the side pods on this thing are actually pretty interesting. From the front view, we basically have these square inlets, and at the side we also have this radiator too. But the shape of the side pod is actually pretty ergonomic looking. So this car from the side, it's actually pretty natural shape if that makes sense. Don't really have any hard edges. It's all basically nice flowy design, especially that engine cover too. I mean, look at that. It kind of looks like a camel, to be honest. We have a bunch of logos at the side. Once again, we have ICE, Tactile Textile Faber, ICE, Tactile, Goodyear, and at the blue banner we have Elf Renault. And this used to say Honda. In 1988 they didn't run with Honda but with Judd, I believe it was. But I don't think Judd was on the car. The side of the side part's looking interesting too. We have that Canon logo, which is a beautiful partnership. It's almost as iconic as Marlboro with McLaren, obviously. A pretty huge carbon fiber floor we have going on here, looking really interesting. And what is especially interesting, if we take a look at the back, you can see how it's suspended by the rear wing, which is an interesting approach. I've never seen that before. Rear suspension looking nice too. You can even see some springs underneath the bodywork there, looking really interesting. Once again, huge rear tires as well. Feels like real rubber. Sanded down just a tad to make it look like they've raced in real life. And once again, beautiful high gloss rims we have going on there too. So rear wing, I really like those kind of very small rear wings we have in the late 80s. At the wing end plate we have this Barclay logo once again with number 5 in that Bordeaux-ish red. And at the back of the so-called DRS flap we have this Canon logo as well, which we also have at the front. Yeah, nice little gaps we have between the flaps, looking really interesting. And I have to say that carbon fiber looks absolutely stellar. And actually this car is, I would say, rather simple really, because in a sport like Formula 1, which is like this crazy technology, I like just the simpleness of things, you know? I like how simple that era was in Formula 1, relatively speaking. That's basically the car itself. The car comes on a nice little leather base, looking really interesting. We also have a plaque, and that plaque basically reads FW12C number 5 Thierry Boutsen limited edition of 500 pieces by GP Replicas. But you also get a case. How can we forget about that? This car is, like I said before, my favorite era of Formula 1, so I really like the shape and look of this car. So I can highly suggest it to you, because this car was actually pretty interesting in the Formula 1 history. You also have a different version which belonged to Riccardo Patrese, which was basically his Italian teammate. That basically concludes my review of this FW12C. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you check this out at gpworld.nl, links down in the description below. Make sure you check them out. I hope you really enjoyed that collection video I made a couple days back or a week back. I'm not really sure when I made that. It's not up to date anymore because we have another one to the collection. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Sincerely hope you liked it. I can't wait to see you in the next one as well.